New details on a shooting we first brought you yesterday morning. A man killed in South LA on Halloween night is the son of a former rap executive and alleged former gang leader.
I mean, it is what it is as far as this is how the streets go, but baby, I ain't gonna hold you. Solid dude.
And I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA.
The streets of LA went into full shock after Big U's son, Jabari Baby Wee Henley, was assassinated on Halloween night. But what happened next? It sent the city straight into chaos. Nipsey's affiliates didn't hold back either. They instantly started mocking Big U's loss online, turning a tragedy into a digital bloodbath that had everyone talking. This wasn't just another street headline. This was the start of something way darker. Halloween night in South Central wasn't supposed to go down like this. Kids were supposed to be out collecting candy, folks hanging at block parties, the city breathing easy for one night. But instead, the air turned cold and tense. Around 11:11 p.m., gunfire tore through the calm near South Figueroa and West 69th Street, and that's when everything changed.
34-year-old Jabari Henley is the son of Eugene Henley, better known as Big U. Eugene Henley once managed Nipsey Hussle and is alleged to be the former leader of the Rollin' 60s Crips gang. Police say Jabari was shot and killed near Figueroa and 69th Street after he walked up to a vehicle and someone inside opened fire before driving off. Police say his father's gang ties are a major part of the investigation.
LAPD's 77th Division pulled up to a nightmare scene that would have the whole hip-hop world spiraling into debates, accusations, and straight-up war talk. Anyone from LA knows that Vermont Slauson Zone has always been pressure. Those blocks carry history, pain, pride, and power all tangled up in decades of street politics. The place where it all went down? A small smoke shop called Fig and 69 Smoke Spot? Sounds harmless, right? Nah. That's deep in the heart of the Rollin' 60s territory, a hood that's seen more than its share of gunfire, loyalty tests, and betrayals. By the time the news hit the streets, whispers were already running wild. This wasn't some random hit. People started saying the tension between Big U's circle and Nipsey's camp had never really cooled off since 2019. Some claimed the universe itself was aligning for payback. Others swore it was something way more sinister, a setup, a message, or even an inside move meant to shake the empire from within. What makes it worse is the timing. Halloween night, a night built on masks, shadows, and tricks. That symbolism didn't go unnoticed. Folks online were calling it the city's cruelest trick, a hit carried out under the cover of chaos. Within hours, hashtags were blowing up. Fans were digging into old footage, old tweets, connecting dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, but felt too real to ignore. This was more than tragedy. It was a street explosion wrapped in heartbreak and humiliation, a moment that ripped the lid off wounds everyone thought had healed. And with Nipsey's old associates throwing subliminals online, the internet turned into a war zone. Every comment section, every live stream, every rumor became a battlefield. And the name Baby Wee became a spark that reignited every unsolved beef from Crenshaw to Compton. Word on the block is that Smoke Shop wasn't even gang affiliated. It just happened to sit right in the middle of dangerous territory. Wrong place, wrong time, and the wrong night. The whole thing played out like a scene ripped straight from a gritty street movie. Except this wasn't Hollywood magic. This was real life, and those weren't blanks. Witnesses said the energy shifted seconds before it happened. Two customers were just stepping out the shop, and a food truck vendor nearby was packing up his grill. That's when they noticed a dark-colored sedan creeping up slow, headlights dim, moving like it had purpose. Some say it looked like a Toyota Camry, others swear it was a Honda Accord, but either way, it rolled up smooth to the curb like it knew exactly who it was there for. Standing 6'1", about 210 pounds, Jabari Baby Wee Henley was right there on the sidewalk, calm, confident. He leaned in toward the car window like he recognized whoever was inside. No fear, no hesitation, just a quick conversation that lasted seconds. Then, out of nowhere, bam! The air cracked open with the sound of gunfire. People hit the ground screaming. Food trays hit the pavement. Car alarms started blaring. Chaos everywhere. That pop, 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 pop echoed through the night like thunder. It was clean, controlled, and too precise to be random. The shooters unleashed at least 7 rounds. Investigators later found shell casings that matched semi-automatic fire, probably a 9mm or .40 caliber. You could tell by the pattern, this wasn't no stick-up gone wrong, no accident, no wild shootout. This was a hit. Straight business. The block fell silent right after, smoke hanging in the air, the smell of gunpowder mixing with street tacos and fear. Witnesses said the car peeled off so fast it barely left tire marks. No plates, no faces, just darkness fading into the night. Jabari Baby Wee. Henley never stood a chance that night. He took 4 bullets, 2 slammed into his torso, 1 ripped through his upper chest, another tore into his stomach, and the last 2 hit his arm and thigh. He collapsed right there by the shop's front door, bleeding out on the cold concrete while the sedan screeched off up Figueroa, then cut hard onto 68, vanishing into the LA night like a ghost. It was surgical, heartless, and way too fast to be random. Within minutes, sirens filled the air. Paramedics and firefighters from Station 46 rushed in at 11:14 p.m., lights flashing across the block. But sometimes even fast is still too late. When they got to him, Jabari was barely hanging on, struggling to breathe, his chest rising in slow, painful gasps. He'd lost too much blood, his body fighting a losing battle. They threw everything at it. CPR, IV lines, epinephrine, the full emergency playbook. But at 11:28 p.m., just 14 minutes later, it was over. No pulse, no heartbeat, no comeback moment. Jabari Baby Wee Henley was gone. Another soul lost to LA's endless war zone of revenge and pride. The streets got quiet, but online, the noise was just getting started. The coroner confirmed it the next morning. Official case number 2025-004512. Cause of death, multiple gunshot wounds. The real killer? Massive blood loss and a shredded pulmonary artery that made it impossible to save him. The toxicology report came back clean. No drugs, no liquor, nothing that would have had him slipping. He was clear-headed when it happened, meaning whoever did this came prepared and made sure it was clean business. Homicide, straight up. But to really understand the shockwave his death sent through the streets, you gotta know who Jabari was. Born March 15th, 1991, straight out of Inglewood, that's LA County for anyone outside the West Coast. He wasn't chasing fame like his pops, Eugene Big U Henley. Nah, Jabari kept it low-key, never flexing his name, just doing his own thing quietly while still showing love for the culture that raised him. He dropped a few tracks under the name Baby Wee, solid, underground cuts that showed his ear for real hip-hop. His 2019 joint Hood with Hoodrich, Pablo Juan, and Kenny Beats behind the boards hit around 150,000 streams on Spotify. Not viral, but real ones knew. The type of track that earned respect without all the flashing lights. Jabari wasn't out there beefing, chasing clout, or picking sides, at least not publicly. That's what makes his death sting even more.
I mean, it is what it is as far as this is how the streets go, but Baby U, I ain't gonna hold you. Solid dude. Like, as young as he was, if you actually met him, he actually seemed way older. Kel was solid, like straight, solid dude. Now some of y'all be, well, he was in the street. He didn't operate like that. He wasn't operating out here like no goofy. Let me just flat out put that out there.
The streets can forgive a rival getting hit, but when someone who kept it quiet gets taken out, that's when everybody starts asking why. Jabari's music hit different now, raw, heartfelt, and soaked in that real pain. Every bar he dropped was about survival, loyalty, and keeping your circle tight. Knowing how his story ended makes those lyrics cut even deeper. It's like he was foreshadowing his own fate without even realizing it. But here's the thing. The rap game wasn't his main hustle. That was just passion, an outlet. People close to him said Jabari was out here working legit, holding down a warehouse supervisor gig at a logistics company in Compton. He was providing for his 10-year-old daughter, making sure she never had to grow up around the same chaos that shaped him. His crew always said one thing about him: Baby Wee stayed out the way. That's hood code for keeping your head low, stacking your money, and staying clear of unnecessary drama, even when your last name could pull you right into it. See, that's what made Jabari special to the people who really knew him. He wasn't trying to prove anything to the streets. He just wanted peace, a steady grind, and a future for his family. For a lot of young brothers in South LA, that's the dream. Staying connected to your roots without becoming another statistic. Jabari represented that rare in-between, someone who could move with love and loyalty, but still rise above the cycle. Everybody who spoke on him painted the same picture. Solid dude, respectful, focused, never moving sloppy, never trying to flex. When he walked in a room, he didn't need to say much. His energy spoke for him. People from Crenshaw to Inglewood said the same thing. He had that quiet strength that's hard to find in this generation. He left behind 3 siblings, each carving their own lane. His brother, Dian Henley, 28, yeah, that Dian, the starting linebacker for the LA Chargers, posted a gut-wrenching message on Instagram on November 1st. My heart is shattered. Rest easy, bro. We got the fam. That one line hit everyone deep. Then there's Michael Henley, 32, holding it down as a barber in Hawthorne, and Shay Henley, 30, working as a nurse in Long Beach. All of them grinding, staying focused, trying to elevate the Henley name without the shadows that came before it. But the most heartbreaking part? Where Big U was when the news broke. Eugene. Big U Henley, 58 years old, one of the most respected and feared figures to ever walk South Central, found out his son had been murdered while locked up. Sitting inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA, he couldn't even be there for his family when it mattered most. No hugs, no goodbyes, just a cold phone call from the outside world telling him his boy was gone. He's been sitting behind bars since March 2025, held without bail after being hit with a 43-count federal RICO indictment. That case? It's no small thing. It's the kind of paperwork that can bury a man for life. The feds claim Big U was knee-deep in organized activity that tied back years. But now, with his son gone, people are starting to wonder if this tragedy was connected somehow, or if someone used the moment to send a message while the OG couldn't fight back.
And I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son, Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California dropped a bombshell, accusing Big U of running what they called a mafia-style criminal enterprise tied to the Rolling 60s Crips. The indictment read like a movie script: extortion, human trafficking, bank fraud, and even ordering a hit on a Vegas rapper. The streets were stunned, but nothing could have prepared Big U for the heartbreak that was coming next. The way he found out about Jabari's death was cold, colder than concrete floors and steel bars. Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, inside the Metropolitan Detention Center, his co-defendant, Loose Cannon, a music exec also snatched up in the same RICO case, got word from someone on the outside through a contraband cell phone. Imagine that, finding out your son's been murdered from a whisper in the dark through a smuggled phone during prison lockdown. That's how heartless the system can be. Cannon later told the story in interviews with TMZ and Hot New Hip Hop, and his words broke people down. He said Big U just froze. No yelling, no words, just raw pain written all over his face. Tears were streaming, fists clenched. Then he whispered, "Not my boy, not like this." Cannon said the entire dorm went silent. Even the hardest dudes in there felt that pain. The kind of grief that cuts deeper than any sentence ever could. Cannon described that moment like something out of a nightmare. "We were both shattered, man. Heartbroken and devastated don't even cover it," he said. Then he paused and added, "We'll work through this together. Even from in here, God makes no mistakes. It's testing us, but we'll rise." You could feel the confusion in his words.
All this is nonsense. Me and Big U even had a conversation about it. And I said, man, I'm sorry you're getting dragged into this fake storyline. Not that I have anything to do with it, because I've never interviewed Loose Cannon or anything else like that. But I just as someone I'm cool with, I said, I'm sorry that this is the story that's going out and people are running with it, because I remember every conversation I've ever had with Big U, he's always spoken positively about Nipsey. Every time. Our interview, nothing negative about Nipsey. Personal conversations, nothing negative about Nipsey, ever.
Trying to find faith in a moment that made no sense at all. Word spread fast through the prison tiers. The OG had lost his son. Guards said Big U sat still for hours afterward, eyes locked on the ground, whispering to himself. Some inmates said he didn't speak for the rest of the night, just stared at the wall like he was replaying every decision that ever led to this moment. Meanwhile, outside those walls, the investigation was heating up. As of November 2nd, 2025, LAPD's South Bureau Homicide Division was knee-deep in evidence, chasing leads across South LA. They pulled footage from 12 different surveillance cameras from nearby liquor stores, body shops, and the smoke spot itself, piecing together the timeline second by second. But here's the part that got people whispering. Despite all the footage and all the manpower, there were still no arrests, not one, which only made the streets talk louder. Was this a revenge move tied to old grudges? Or was it something deeper, something tied to the same RICO web that already had Big U sitting in a cell? The silence was deafening. The city could feel it. Something big was brewing beneath the surface, and nobody knew who was gonna make the next move. LAPD thought money might shake something loose. So on November 1st, they dropped a $50,000 reward through the citywide crime reward program, hoping someone would finally come forward and break the silence. But instead of justice coming quick, what happened next showed just how dark and twisted the internet can get when grief, conspiracy, and old beef collide. The web turned into a war zone overnight. Within hours of Jabari's death, social media lost its mind. The first police scanner reports hit online around 11:45 p.m., Halloween night, and by midnight the story was spreading faster than wildfire. This wasn't just LA news, this was global. From YouTube live chats to Reddit threads, TikTok clips, and X, what we used to call Twitter, everyone had something to say, and most of it wasn't compassion, it was chaos. Instead of condolences, people were dropping disrespectful takes and conspiracy threads that spiraled out of control. Some users were calling it street karma, others were saying the cycle came full circle. Within hours, Jabari's name was being dragged into a mess that had nothing to do with him. A storm built from 6-year-old rumors about his father and Nipsey Hussle's murder back in March 31st, 2019. It was disturbing. A young father loses his life, and instead of sympathy, the internet treated it like a trending topic. Hashtags like #BigHenley, #BabyWe, and even twisted versions of Karma for Nipsey started trending across LA timelines and hip-hop gossip pages. By 6 a.m. on November 1st, mentions of Big U's son exploded from 2,500 posts at midnight to over 70,000. That's not mourning, that's madness. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Some were defending Jabari's name, reminding folks that he stayed out the streets and never disrespected anybody. But others, mostly cloud chasers and fake woke accounts, were pushing wild claims that his death was spiritual payback for what they still believe Big U did behind the scenes years ago. You could see how broken the culture's become, where pain turns into content and tragedy becomes clickbait. Screenshots of fake insider messages started floating around, people claiming OGs from Crenshaw had predicted this, and even YouTubers began dropping expose videos before the coroner's report was even public. It was disgusting. This wasn't healing, it was digital violence. People were desensitized, turning a family's worst nightmare into a 24-hour trending cycle for views and likes. The fact that so many tied Jabari's death to the ghost of Nipsey Hussle just showed how deep those wounds still run in the hip-hop community, and how easily the internet twists pain into profit. By sunrise, the story wasn't just about a murder, it had become a cultural reflection of how cold the online world can be. Nobody was waiting for facts, they were chasing engagement. Tragedy became entertainment, and the more sensational the take, the faster it spread. By the next morning, TikTok was flooded, and I mean flooded. Clips were everywhere, some even showing paramedics performing CPR on Jabari. Those disturbing videos posted by faceless accounts hiding behind anime profile pics hit 3.2 million views by noon on November 1st. People weren't just watching, they were sharing it like entertainment. No respect, no filter, just clicks and clout. Then came Instagram Reels, where fan pages dedicated to Nipsey Hussle started remixing mourning montages with slick-cut edits, accusing Big U of finally facing karma. By mid-afternoon, those reels had racked up over 25 million impressions worldwide. The algorithm ate it up like candy, boosting every controversial take, every shady caption, every revenge from the grave post. It was like the internet had been waiting for this moment, waiting for a spark to reignite years of buried drama. The disrespect was unreal. Most of these so-called spiritual revenge posts tied Jabari's death to Nipsey's spirit. Coming back for balance, as if tragedy needed a reason. The whole conversation was built on rumors that had already been exposed as fake. But online, facts move slow and lies sprint. Those old theories. The one saying Big U vouched for Eric Holder Jr., the Rolling 60s member convicted in 2022 for killing Nipsey, or that Big U secretly profited from Nipsey's death through his unique music label, all resurfaced like ghosts. Never mind that Big U's name was never mentioned once in Holder's court transcripts. Never mind that he had zero connection to the murder itself. People didn't care. The drama sounded better than the truth. Old interviews started popping back up too, pouring gas on an already burning fire. A 2021 Charleston White clip got resurrected and exploded all over X, pulling 11,000 likes and over 500 reposts overnight. In that video, Charleston threw wild accusations, claiming to know what really went down with Nipsey's death and hinting that Big U was somehow involved. It was pure sensationalism, but people ate it up like gospel. Then, even crazier, Loose Cannon's old podcast rant from 2025, recorded before he caught his own RICO case, started trending again. The same Loose Cannon who later broke the news to Big U about Jabari's murder. That old clip got 6,000 likes and countless comments where he alleged that Big U had signed Nipsey to a shady deal, then let the snake circle, meaning let Eric Holder get close. The irony was heavy, and everyone online noticed. It didn't take long for real ones to start calling out the nonsense, though. Brick Baby, one of the few who actually came from the same streets and knew both sides, jumped into the convo during a later interview and said flat out that Cannon's version of events was pure cap.
Me and Big U even had a conversation about it. And I said, man, I'm sorry you're getting dragged into this fake storyline. Not that I have anything to do with it, because I've never interviewed Loose Cannon or anything else like that. But I just as someone I'm cool with, I said, I'm sorry that this is the story that's going out and people are running with it, because I remember every conversation I've ever had with Big U, he's always spoken positively about Nipsey. Every time. Our interview, nothing negative about Nipsey. Personal conversations, nothing negative about Nipsey, ever.
We're taking pieces of street gossip, twisting them for clout, and turning a real tragedy into a circus. But by then, the damage was done. Millions had already seen the clips, shared them, stitched them, and reposted them with captions like "Karma never misses" and "Nipsey spirit spinning the block." That's the internet in 2025. Nobody waits for truth, just vibes, clicks, and chaos. The internet didn't just talk about Jabari's death, it fed on it. And while his family mourned in silence, strangers were out there rewriting his story, one viral clip at a time. Then came the next wave. Wack 100's infamous Instagram Live from March 2025 started circulating again like it was breaking news. In that clip, Wack claimed there had been a physical fight between Big U and Nipsey Hussle back in 2017, and that it somehow led to Black Sam, Nipsey's brother, getting arrested. That live had already gone viral once, but now it got resurrected and blasted across every platform, fueling a brand new storm of chaos. One thread alone pulled in over 50,000 engagements as fans and haters fought in the comments, twisting an old rumor into proof of an invisible war that never died. None of this was new. It was just old dirt, repackaged, recycled, and reposted because the internet loves drama. Algorithms don't care about truth. They care about tension, outrage, and clicks. And that's exactly what they got. The digital world turned a family's pain into an all-you-can-eat buffet for chaos. The first few hours after the shooting painted a nasty picture of what social media has become. At 12:07 a.m., barely an hour after the shots rang out, a random account uploaded shaky video from the crime scene with the caption, "Retaliation for Big U's alleged Nipsey setup. Street war never ends." It got 19 likes and 5 reposts in minutes. Small numbers, but it set the tone for what was coming next. By 1:46 a.m., someone else posted the CPR footage with a caption that hit deeper. Comments full of Nipsey spirit and sins of the father. "We've lost compassion. Death is entertainment." That one got 95 likes, a rare moment of reflection buried under a pile of chaos. But by 6:47 a.m., things had turned downright ugly. Another post read, "LA let Big U walk after killing your legend Nipsey. Trash City." That one, 2,400 likes. The disrespect was unreal. By 12:57 p.m., somebody uploaded a YouTube video titled "Proof Big U Killed Nipsey and Son's Best Friend," It racked up 417,000 views within hours. People weren't even questioning it. They were eating it up like truth. That's how fast false narratives travel when emotions run wild. When analysts broke the numbers down, the scale of this digital mob was shocking. Out of 8,000 posts analyzed between midnight and 2 a.m. on November 1st, 62% mentioned Nipsey using hashtags like hashtag Nipsey Karma and hashtag Does Nipsey, which popped up over 4,000 times. Only 28% were neutral condolences. A depressing 10% actually condemned the mockery. The rest, noise, hate, and clout chasing disguised as justice. By the end of the day, the platforms had no choice but to intervene. But even that came too late. Twitter suspended 15 accounts for doxing people connected to Big U's family. TikTok demonetized over 200 videos showing the graphic CPR clips. Instagram flagged around 50 reels under hate speech and misinformation policies. But all that damage control couldn't erase what had already happened. The story had already escaped the truth, and the internet was running wild with it. What this whole circus revealed wasn't just how messy social media is. It exposed how numb we've become as a culture. Grief turned into gossip, death turned into entertainment, and karma became a weapon people throw around without thinking about the lives it destroys. It's like the digital world lost the plot, chasing shock value instead of humanity. People stopped asking for justice and started demanding vengeance. Not in real life, but online, where rumors spread faster than bullets ever could. The wild thing is, all that noise online had zero evidence to back it up. Nothing connected Jabari's death to what went down in 2019 with Nipsey Hussle. Not a shred. It wasn't about facts. It was about feelings, pain, and old wounds that never healed. The community's trauma over losing Nipsey had never truly settled. And for some folks still haunted by that loss, Big U became the perfect villain in a story they refused to let in. So when tragedy hit his family, they twisted it into karma, like the universe had delivered payback. Cold-hearted thinking disguised as justice. But not everyone was feeding into that dark energy. Some voices stood up for sense, empathy, and truth. Even Nipsey's own people tried to shut the nonsense down. Black Sam, Nip's brother, made a rare statement through RIH Records Instagram on November 1st, writing, "Pain multiplies pain, honor, Nip with peace, not this." That message hit hard. A simple reminder that grief isn't supposed to turn into revenge. But online, the hate machine had already shifted into overdrive. Several figures in the hip-hop world also stepped up, calling out what they saw as a disturbing lack of compassion. Podcasters, DJs, and even some street legends went public saying, "Y'all dragging a father who just lost his son while he's behind bars over something proven false years ago." It was one of those rare moments when the real ones drew a line between the truth and the chaos. Those who actually knew Big U personally said straight up, this man was mourning, not maneuvering. He was locked in a cell, heartbroken, trying to process the loss of his boy, yet people were turning his pain into clickbait and fake documentaries. That's the internet for you, where tragedy turns into theory and every rumor becomes a headline. And here's the reality check nobody wanted to hear. Eric Holder Jr., the man actually convicted of killing Nipsey Hussle, was sentenced to 60 years to life in 2022. Big U's name never came up, not once. Not in call logs, not in witness testimony, not in police reports, not even in the courtroom transcripts. Zero mention. The prosecutors built an airtight case against Holder without ever linking Big U to anything criminal. As one commentator put it during a viral live stream that week, if there had been even an ounce of evidence tying Big U to Nipsey's murder-for-hire theory, the DA would have dragged it out in court for the whole world to see. And that's facts. But people don't want reality. They want a story that fits their emotions, even if it means turning an innocent man's grief into gossip. At the end of the day, this wasn't divine payback. It was just another heartbreaking chapter in a community still bleeding from the loss of one of its greatest voices. All that online chaos didn't just stay behind screens, it spilled right back into the streets. LAPD logged a 22% spike in anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers in the days following Jabari's death. Between November 1st and 2nd, they got over 150 calls, many mentioning old beefs and unfinished business. But the truth, most of those calls led nowhere. Just rumors recycled through panic, fear, and misinformation. The backlash had turned into a vicious loop. Grief over Nipsey Hussle's murder being weaponized against another tragedy, feeding the same pain that's been haunting South LA since 2019. What made it worse was how the online noise started drowning out the real story, the search for justice for Jabari Henley, a father, a worker, a man who tried to stay out of the street politics that ended up taking his life anyway. Every viral post, every false claim made it harder for detectives to focus on the truth. The hashtags got louder than the homicide file. To really understand why Jabari's death became such a lightning rod for chaos, you gotta rewind the clock, way before Halloween 2025, back to where this whole storm started. The complicated, misunderstood relationship between Nipsey Hussle and Eugene Big U Henley. See, social media loves to simplify everything. Heroes and villains, saints and snakes. But life don't work like that. The bond between Nipsey and Big U was layered, real, and filled with history that can't be summed up in a TikTok comment or a Twitter thread. These two were family in spirit before fame, before record deals, before the headlines twisted everything. Their story started back in the mid-2000s, when Big U had just been released on parole in 2004 after doing time with the California Department of Corrections. He came home with a mission, trying to change the narrative for South Central. That's when he founded the Community Intervention Alliance, setting up peace talks between rival sets, Crips and Bloods, and trying to cool down neighborhoods that had been at war for decades. That's where young Nipsey came in, a rising star from Crenshaw and Slauson with charisma, vision, and street credibility. Big U saw something in him, a spark that could move the culture without falling victim to it. What started as mentorship and protection grew into partnership and pride, until fame, money, and politics turned their connection into a constant headline for people who never knew the real story. The internet painted them as enemies, but on the streets, it was way more complicated. Big U helped Nipsey navigate the chaos of South Central when he was still finding his way. He opened doors, made introductions, and tried to keep peace in a city where peace never lasts long. But over time, egos, business moves, and outside voices started planting seeds of distrust. By the time Nipsey became a global icon, the whispers had already twisted their bond into betrayal, a false narrative that would haunt both men and eventually spill over into the chaos surrounding Jabari's murder years later. And that's the part nobody online ever talks about. How two men who once shared a mission to heal the streets ended up having their legacies weaponized against each other. The Community Intervention Alliance, or CIA, was Big U's brainchild. Launched back in 2005 when he came home and decided to flip his influence into something positive. Around that time, a young Nipsey Hussle, barely 20, was making noise on the streets of Crenshaw, repping the Rolling 60s but dreaming bigger than the block. He'd pull up to those informal peace meetings Big U hosted. No cameras, no clout, just talks about unity, business, and survival. Big U saw something special in Nipsey early on. He called him a next-gen leader, someone who could connect the OGs with the new wave of South Central youth. He wasn't wrong. Nipsey had that energy, that spark that made both the hood and the corporate world pay attention. By February 2009, their bond turned official. Nipsey signed a 10-year management deal with Big U's unique music group label. The terms included a 10% management fee and 25% publishing share, which back then was standard business. But years later, in 2023, fans would resurface that deal online and call it predatory, even starting a petition accusing Big U of taking advantage of a young artist. But context matters. Back then, Nipsey was just getting started, and Big U was helping open doors that nobody else could. From 2009 through the early 2000s, they were locked in. Both men were on a mission that went beyond music. It was about rebuilding South Central from the inside out. In 2010, they co-hosted Unity in the Community at Limer Park, drawing nearly 800 people together. Big U brokered truces between the Rollin 60s and the Hoovers, two sets that had decades of tension, while Nipsey performed live, turning pain into purpose. By 2012, their teamwork grew even stronger. Both men personally donated $5,000 each to CIA's youth programs, and Nipsey told XXL magazine, "You bridges sets. He saved lives on my block." Big U responded with equal respect, saying, "He made the music that backed the message." That mutual admiration wasn't just talk, they were really doing it. Their partnership peaked between 2016 and 2018 when they launched the Block by Block community series, hosting panels about gentrification, economics, and street unity that brought out over 4,000 people total. It was grassroots energy mixed with real strategy. Big U even helped with A&R input on Nipsey's Grammy-nominated album Victory Lap, connecting key features like Kendrick Lamar and helping fine-tune the project's rollout. It wasn't just business. It was brotherhood, a shared vision for growth and legacy. When Nipsey donated $100,000 to CIA in 2018, it was clear the love was still there. He didn't just say he supported the mission, he showed it. They were building together, trying to make sure the next generation had something better than gunfire and memorial murals. But success changes things. And as Nipsey's star exploded, his empire started expanding in ways that made independence more tempting. Behind the scenes, tension quietly started building. By late 2018, whispers of friction began to leak. Nipsey reportedly wanted out of his unique deal early, citing creative control and a desire to own everything tied to his name. That's when he made his boldest move yet, launching the Marathon clothing brand in August 2018, completely under his own label. It was independence in action, a power play that shifted everything. On the surface, it looked like evolution, but behind the scenes, some believed it created a rift that no one fully addressed before tragedy struck just months later. Two men who once worked hand in hand to unite a community were now standing on opposite sides of business lines. And that tension, though mostly unspoken, would become the root of years of online rumors that twisted their story into something darker than it really was. Even after the quiet tension between them, Big U still showed up at the Marathon clothing store opening, standing right there, front row, supporting Nipsey's new chapter. But that same night, he posted something cryptic on X, back when it was still buzzing with coded industry messages, loyalty tests, all of them. Nobody thought much of it back then, but once tragedy struck, that single post got dissected like evidence from a crime scene. Months later, photos began surfacing that sent the internet into overdrive. Images showing Eric Holder at the same event, somewhere in the crowd near Big U. At the time, it was nothing more than a random picture, but after Nipsey's death, those photos took on a whole different meaning. People started connecting dots that weren't even on the same page, turning coincidence into conspiracy. Then came the darkest day, March 31st, 2019. Nipsey Hussle was murdered in front of his own store, the same block he poured his life into rebuilding. The city froze, the culture broke, and all eyes immediately turned toward every name even remotely tied to him, including Big U. But Big U's response was immediate and public. He didn't hide, didn't run, didn't make excuses, he acted. On April 2nd, just 2 days after Nipsey's death, he helped organize a unity march that brought out over 5,000 people, including members from rival gangs who hadn't stood side by side in decades. The city witnessed something historic, peace flags raised where gun smoke usually hung. He also gave a powerful eulogy during Nipsey's memorial, calling him "my son in spirit." Those words hit deep, raw, honest, and filled with pain. Big U's organization, CIA, even took charge of the memorial logistics, working hand in hand with community leaders and the Hussle family to make sure everything ran smooth. Together, they raised over $200,000 through joint fundraisers, money that went straight to youth programs, small businesses, and memorial efforts in Crenshaw. To anyone watching from the ground, Big U's actions looked like nothing but love. The grief of a man who had lost someone he helped mold into a global icon. That's why, when the rumors began circling months later, they felt cruel, like salt in an open wound. But online, empathy doesn't trend. Controversy does. By July 2020, a viral X thread claimed that Big U had vouched for Eric Holder, sparking 50,000 engagements in less than 24 hours. It didn't matter that the claim had no receipts, no witnesses, no connection. People just ran with it because it fit the drama. Big U finally had to step out and speak his truth. In August 2020, he went on Vlad TV, sitting across from the cameras with the weight of the world on his shoulders. His tone wasn't defensive, it was weary. Years of service, community work, and mentorship being erased by a lie that refused to die.
When Nipsey died, right? When Nipsey got killed, we probably had about 375, 400 kids that was in our program. And I had the travel basketball team. We had a contract with Adidas that was worth about $3 million that Kanye West gave us.
Wow.
And then I had like a bunch of other different contracts. And for a nonprofit, we were really thriving. Then Nipsey gets killed. Well, after Nipsey gets killed, then the rumor goes out, Big U had something to do. We lost everything.
You lost all those?
Everyone, I tell you everything.
Wow.
Kanye stopped answering the phone. Adidas stopped answering the phone. And I ended up almost going dead broke because we already committed to these.
The moment he started talking, it was clear. This wasn't a man hiding from guilt. This was a man fed up with being misunderstood, trying to protect a legacy that the internet kept trying to destroy. When Big U finally spoke out, his message was simple but powerful. Clearly, I built peace with Nip. I didn't break it. But in the era of social media, truth moves slower than lies. Algorithms don't reward honesty. They reward chaos. Denials barely travel while accusations sprint. You could hear the pain in his voice every time he talked about what those rumors cost him. It wasn't just money, it was legacy. Everything he'd worked for since walking out of prison. The peace talks, the youth centers, the block programs, the redemption arc, all of it started crumbling because people wanted a villain for a story that didn't need one. By the time 2023 rolled around, data told the story better than words. Sentiment analysis from X showed that positive mentions connecting Nipsey and Big U had dropped from 80% in 2018 to just 35% in 2023. That's a 45-point collapse in reputation, fueled by over 5,000 posts recycling the same old lies. No new evidence, no receipts, just the same rumor machine still spinning. Big U's name, once linked to peace, had become clickbait for conflict, all because people found entertainment in tearing down a man who once tried to rebuild the same streets that broke him. But his situation went from bad to brutal in March 2025 when the feds swooped in with a hammer that could crush anyone's future. Big U was arrested and hit with 43 federal counts under the RICO Act, accused of running a full-on criminal enterprise tied to the Rollin' 60s Crips. The charges were wild. Extortion from local businesses, human trafficking through unique music, bank fraud involving $1.2 million in COVID-19 relief loans, and even ordering a 2021 hit on an aspiring rapper in Vegas over a diss track. It read like a Hollywood crime script, but this time, the stakes were real life, and the man on the front line was already carrying years of public judgment from false accusations he'd never escaped. Big U pleaded not guilty, standing tall even as his world burned around him. His longtime attorney withdrew from the case in September 2025, leaving him to represent himself. A move that shocked both supporters and critics. The trial was officially set for May 2026, and the headlines made sure everyone knew it. And then came the cruelest twist of all. While sitting in federal custody, stripped of freedom and fighting for his name, his son Jabari Henley was murdered. It's almost too dark to believe. A man already drowning in accusations for crimes never proven, now forced to grieve from behind bars, with no chance to hold his child one last time. The timing was merciless. The universe dealt him its coldest hand yet. What made it even worse was the reaction outside those prison walls. Instead of sympathy, the internet celebrated. Strangers typed karma under news posts about Jabari's death, pretending justice had finally been served. But justice for what? There was never evidence linking Big U to Nipsey's murder. Yet the myth had grown so massive that people felt satisfied watching him suffer. It was the ultimate tragedy within a tragedy. A father trapped in a cell, a son gone too soon, and an entire culture so addicted to scandal that it couldn't recognize real pain when it was staring it in the face. The cruelty of the timing can't be overstated. Big U wasn't just losing his son. He was losing his humanity in the court of public opinion, punished twice for sins he never committed. As of November 2nd, 2025, the investigation into Jabari Henley's murder is still active, and the picture's getting clearer, but not in the way social media tried to paint it. LAPD detectives have combed through 12 different surveillance videos, tracking every car and shadow near the Fig and 69 smoke spot that night. They're still waiting on full ballistics and toxicology results expected on November 5th, hoping the science fills in the blanks that gossip never could. Two persons of interest, both from Inglewood and reportedly unaffiliated with the Rollins 60s, were detained on November 1st, questioned, then released once their alibis checked out clean. That alone already debunks half the revenge hit theories floating around online. Then came a twist straight from the forensics lab. DNA found on the sedan's door handle turned up a partial match to a Hoover Crip affiliate. According to internal LAPD memos leaked to a few outlets, the working theory now points to spillover retaliation, meaning this hit might have been fallout from another neighborhood beef entirely, not the cosmic karma narrative the internet ran wild with. The truth? It's never as dramatic as the timeline makes it look. This wasn't the universe striking back. It was just more violence born out of the same cycle the community's been trying to break for decades. And that's the sad reality. What this whole tragedy really exposes is how deeply the internet has distorted our relationship with grief, justice, and truth in the culture. Instead of mourning Jabari as a father, a brother, and a man who tried to live right, people turned his name into trending bait. Instead of waiting for facts, they built fantasies and called it street justice. Meanwhile, the Henley family is dealing with a pain most can't imagine. With Big U still locked up under RICO, their assets, including the family's Hyde Park home, have been frozen by federal order. They're trying to hold it together, coordinating private funeral arrangements away from cameras and chaos. A memorial for Jabari is tentatively set for November 8th, expected to be small, quiet, and guarded. No media, no performances, just loved ones saying goodbye. While the city keeps speculating and the internet keeps spinning stories, a family is left to mourn in silence, grieving a son, a father, and a name that's been dragged through the mud by people who never even knew him. This case might still be open, but what's already closed is the space for empathy. Somewhere between hashtags and headlines, the truth got lost. And what's left is a reminder that in the age of viral outrage, even grief isn't sacred anymore. So here we are, a young man gone, a father in chains, and a city still bleeding from wounds it never healed. Jabari Baby Wee. Henley's death wasn't just another tragedy. It became a mirror showing us everything wrong with the culture right now. The obsession with rumors over reality, the rush to judge instead of understand, the way we turn grief into gossip before the body's even cold. Behind every trending hashtag and viral clip is a family shattered forever. The truth gets buried under likes, the facts get replaced with feelings, and the streets get no justice, just noise. Big U may be sitting in federal custody, but his pain echoes through every block he once fought to unite. And somewhere out there, real killers still walk free while the internet points fingers at ghosts. The story of Nipsey, Big U, and Jabari isn't about saints or villains. It's about a broken system, a wounded city, and the way fame distorts real life until we forget these are people, not plot lines. This saga proves one thing. The internet can rewrite history faster than truth can catch up. But no matter what the blogs say, the streets remember the real. And this is BarzBuzz, where we don't chase clout, we chase clarity. If you're tired of fake narratives and want the real breakdowns that mainstream won't touch, hit that subscribe button now and keep watching the stories that the culture needs to face, not just scroll past. Click one of the boxes on your screen. Because truth doesn't trend forever, but here at BarzBuzz, it never dies. If this saga had you shook, wait till you see what's next. You already know what it is. BarzBuzz got the real, raw, and unfiltered breakdowns. So don't forget to like and subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to catch up.